Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Jury selection will soon begin for the murder trial of a Pulteney woman who is accused of murdering her husband. Big Fox's Matt Kleindens joins us now from Corning with a preview of the upcoming trial.
Good evening, Lauren. Within a year, jurors will convene at the Steuben County Courthouse to hear the case of a woman who allegedly shot her husband last year. Nearly 11 months after being released, Sherry Bellum will have her day in court. According to Steuben County District Attorney Brooks Baker, Bellum is accused of killing her husband John in October of last year. Baker says she then hid the gun and lied to responding officers.
To cover the homicide, she gave a false statement to the state police and sheriff's office reporting a home invasion, burglary, robbery situation.
While the county doesn't have to prove motive in the case, Baker says an argument between the couple played a role.
There does appear that there was some financial disagreement between the victim and the defendant at the time this was going on that may have played a part in the homicide.
Sherry Bellum was charged with second-degree murder and several counts of falsifying records and evidence tampering. If convicted, she could face up to 25 years in prison. Jury selection kicks off next Monday and will take a few days.
We'll commence immediately after the jury is selected, so I'm hoping that we'll be involved with opening statements and proof on Wednesday.
Matt Kleindens, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
Week after week, more children are getting COVID-19, but leading health experts say there could be a light at the end of the tunnel. Rick Conway has the latest on the push to get a vaccine authorized for kids ages 5 to 11.
We're seeing infections throughout every age group.
You don't want to go through this. You don't.
Infants and very young children, school-age children, and unvaccinated teenagers.
Medical experts say early diagnosis is crucial. Better yet, prevention.
Use masking and other measures to keep our children safe and reassure parents that help is on the way.
Help in the form of a vaccine. Former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb is on Pfizer's board, and Dr. James Versalovic is helping run children's trials.
You could potentially have a vaccine available to children aged 5 to 11 by Halloween.
That is our goal, October. We are doing everything we can now to move these trials ahead, and they're moving ahead well.
In the meantime, the FDA has made it clear parents need to wait on the formal authorization, saying, quote, children are not small adults, and the vaccine doses that are currently being studied in younger children are not necessarily the same vaccine doses that have been approved for other age groups. Right now, the FDA says clinical trials are still underway, but once the relevant portion is complete, it will work with the manufacturers to analyze the data. Then the manufacturer can submit for emergency use authorization. After that, the FDA will evaluate benefits and risks, a process they say could take just a matter of weeks. And in the face of Delta, every week, every day counts. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
President Biden's vaccine mandate for private workplaces is about to run into a barrage of lawsuits. The rule hasn't even been written yet, but as Doug Luzader reports, there are some major battles ahead.
Federal bureaucrats are still in the process of writing this new vaccine mandate, but many Republican governors are already lining up to fight back.
This is an egregious overreach of federal authority.
Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts leading the charge over the weekend, attacking President Biden's plan to require all businesses in the country with 100 workers or more to require COVID shots and weekly testing for holdouts. And he's not alone.
We're going to stand up for people's freedoms and their livelihoods.
So is the president exceeding his authority by asking the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, to implement the new nationwide vaccine mandate?
Certainly, this wouldn't have been put forward if the president of the administration didn't believe that it was an appropriate legal measure to take. And I believe it is so based on the authority that Congress has actually given under the OSHA Act.
And while legal challenges are all but certain, they could still be a ways off.
We won't even see the text of this order, it seems, for several weeks. And it will only be then that we really have something to have a lawsuit about.
And everyone may have to temper their expectations about COVID.
I think people have had this false perception that we're going to eradicate COVID, and we've got to learn to live with it. Downgrading COVID from a severe illness to a mild or asymptomatic infection has always been the goal.
And the White House says this new private sector vaccine mandate will impact some 80 million workers. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul blasting a controversial abortion law in Texas today. The new law makes any abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy illegal in the state. In response, the governor is launching a public information campaign to make women in her state aware of their rights. One of its targets will be women who travel to New York to obtain abortions. Hochul says it's up to women in New York to lead on the issue.
All of a sudden, that sense of security we once had in our nation has been ripped apart, shredded. The security blanket no longer. You're denied the choice that should be yours as a woman, and something we took for granted by Texas, who thinks 6 weeks is the magic date that you should have been aware. You should know this. And that is grotesquely unfair, what they're expecting.
Hochul says she is also working to update New York's regulations to allow physicians to prescribe medications that lead to abortion remotely using telemedicine. The state's first female governor was joined by other women leaders in the state, including Senator Kirsten Gillibrand and Representative Carolyn Maloney. Governor Hochul is also working to give New York's National Guardsmen recognition for their service during and after 9/11. In a speech on Saturday, the governor proposed a new law that would allow National Guard members to qualify as veterans. Governor Hochul says it's time for New York's National Guardsmen to get the appreciation they deserve.
In my opinion, they never got the recognition they deserved. It's 20 years overdue, but I'm here to set that straight because I have seen what you've done, and I know what you continue to do.
Over 6,700 New York National Guard members were called to action in response to 9/11. It's the first time that National Guard members are being recognized for their service 20 years ago. A potential battle looming among Democrats in Congress. A key vote for the party in the Senate is declaring his opposition to a $3.5 trillion social spending package. Progressives say without that bill, they will not support a bipartisan $1 trillion infrastructure package. Madeline Rivera has the latest from Washington.
Infighting among Democrats is threatening to derail two major pieces of legislation to fulfill President Biden's domestic agenda, with the price tag being the sticking point.
I think Joe Manchin's made it clear that a lot of the stuff is dead on arrival.
Moderate Senator Joe Manchin opposes the tight timetable to pass the $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation package and the price, favoring a number between $1 to $1.5 trillion.
Do we have the urgency to spend another $3.5 trillion right now? The most urgent thing that we have to do is get the bipartisan infrastructure bill.
Progressives insist the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the reconciliation package must move forward together. But they also say Manchin's price ceiling is unacceptable.
Physical infrastructure is terribly important. But I happen to think that the needs of the human beings of our country, working families, the children, the elderly, the poor, are even more important.
Democrats are giving themselves until Wednesday to put together the reconciliation package. The House now releasing more details about one way to pay for it, raising the corporate tax rate from 21% to 26.5%.
There's not even a lender to fund all this kind of spending. Shouldn't we check up?
Lawmakers are facing another critical deadline, September 30th, when government funding runs out. And Republicans say they're not helping Democrats raise the debt ceiling. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
The FBI has released previously classified details about its investigation into the 9/11 attacks on President Joe Biden's order. The first release shows investigators believed Saudi Arabia's government was involved in helping some of the attackers. Brianna Kyler has details.
The FBI releasing a newly declassified document with more information about the September 11th terrorist attacks. It's the first of several expected to be released since President Joe Biden ordered a declassification review of the investigation earlier this month. The heavily redacted report from 2016 details the FBI's probe into suspected Saudi government support for the 9/11 hijackers. This includes whether a Saudi consular official and a suspected Saudi intelligence agent provided logistical support to at least two of the men who hijacked planes on 9/11. According to the document, the FBI interviewed an employee of the Saudi consulate in Los Angeles in 2015. The person, whose name was redacted, said he was in contact with Saudi nationals suspected of providing support to the first two 9/11 hijackers to arrive in the United States. The Saudi government has denied any government involvement in the attacks. The FBI released the 16-page document on the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, just hours after Biden attended memorial services in New York City, Pennsylvania, and at the Pentagon.
These memorials are really important, but they're also incredibly difficult for the people who are affected by it.
On September 3rd, the president signed an executive order directing the Justice Department and other federal agencies to release declassified documents over the next 6 months. This move fulfilling one of Biden's campaign promises, and it comes after pressure and scrutiny from some families of 9/11 victims. Some even telling the president he would not be welcome at any memorial events unless the documents were declassified. Before the release, former Defense Secretary Leon Panetta said he was pleased with Biden's decision to order the declassification review, but he's doubtful it will provide the closure that many families are looking for.
I think that the families of the victims are entitled to know the whole truth of what was involved and who was involved when it came to 9/11. I suspect that they're not going to get the kind of satisfactory answers about the role of Saudi Arabia with regards to this attack.
Still ahead tonight, just days before an FDA committee could give the green light to COVID-19 boosters, the debate over whether they are even necessary is heating up.
The durability of the protection tends to wane, particularly in the context of the Delta variant.
The latest opinions from top health officials about the booster, including 2 retiring FDA leaders that say there is no need for boosters at this time.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Your Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. The cold front that pushed through our area is now stalled out in the northern tier of Pennsylvania. It is keeping the rain chances going. There is a disturbance moving into the Great Lakes region, and that will start to move a little bit closer to our area in the next couple of hours. So we are expecting the possibility of a few thunderstorms as well. Temperatures tonight, because of the clouds, will stay mainly in the low 60s. That's where our dew points will be as well. And we are expecting, again, the possibility of a few thunderstorms. So let me show you what that looks like for the next hour or so. If we put it into motion, notice some of these thunderstorms could bring some heavy rain as well. So it will be pretty noisy as these thunderstorms roll through until about 5 o'clock in the morning. All this will be moving away. We will be left with a little bit of cloud cover during the day on Tuesday. There could be an isolated shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon. Then our next system starts to take shape, and it will start to advance to the east into the Great Lakes region by tomorrow evening. We are going to be in the warm sector of the system, so tomorrow will be a little bit warmer and a little bit more humid before this cold front moves through. So here's a look at your planner for tomorrow. Temperatures around the low 60s at 7 o'clock, and then we warm up to around 82 degrees by 1, 84 by 3 o'clock. So again, it is going to be a little bit warmer, increasing clouds during the day, and there could be an isolated thunderstorm or two in the late afternoon. But I think our best chances of rain will actually come on Wednesday as that cold front draws a little bit closer. So our future radar showing a line of thunderstorms will start to form out ahead of that front, and that will be marching through by the end of the day on Wednesday around 4 o'clock in the morning. Notice some of that will be moving into the western edges of New York, and then it starts to fizzle a little bit by 7 o'clock in the morning, but I'm still expecting it to really pick up as we head into the afternoon as it encounters that humid and very warm air. So it looks like all of us will be in on the action by the early afternoon into the evening hours, and the activity will continue into the evening on your Wednesday. So we are expecting a lot more rain as we head into the middle of the week due to that storm system. Tonight, though, we drop down into the low 60s. There will be an isolated thunderstorm or two, spotty showers, and a few thunderstorms could be possible tomorrow. Highs will be around 84 degrees in Elmira, 85 in Corning. There will be occasional heavy rain, a few strong thunderstorms possible as well on Wednesday. We cool it down to around 80 degrees, 77 on Thursday. Overnight lows will drop down to near the 60-degree mark, and then we gradually warm up heading into the weekend. Highs on Saturday and Sunday will be around 83 degrees.
An FDA committee is set to talk about COVID-19 vaccine boosters for the general public on Friday. If approved, it would mean a third shot for everyone who received the Pfizer vaccine. Now, Moderna has also submitted data to the FDA for approval of booster doses. But today, there's continuing debate over the necessity of a third shot. Mandy Gaither has more on what both sides are saying in today's Health Minute.
In just days, the FDA could give the green light to COVID-19 boosters, a third shot for everyone who got the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, Moderna seeking the same for those who got its vaccine. For weeks, top U.S. health officials have said an additional dose may help provide further protection against the coronavirus.
The durability of the protection tends to wane, particularly in the context of the Delta variant.
But the booster debate took a turn Monday with this opinion piece published in The Lancet from an international group of vaccine scientists, including 2 retiring FDA leaders. It says COVID-19 vaccines do not currently show a need for boosting, the lead author saying, taken as a whole, the currently available studies do not provide credible evidence of substantially declining protection against severe disease, which is the primary goal of vaccination. One expert isn't ruling it out in the long run.
In the bigger picture, I do believe that boosters will be likely needed. The timing and nuances of these are hard.
On the other side of the booster argument, the FDA saying the views of the authors do not represent the views of the agency. We'll look forward to a robust and transparent discussion on Friday about that application. But about 75 million eligible people in the U.S. have yet to roll up their sleeves. Some experts say the focus needs to be on them.
Let's get vaccine doses into people who are unvaccinated, and then we will see.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The nation's oldest World War II veteran celebrating his 112th birthday on Sunday. Lawrence Brooks served in the U.S. Army after being drafted in 1940. Reporter Morgan Lentis shows us how the community came together to celebrate this amazing milestone.
Today is Mr. Lawrence Brooks's 112th birthday.
My sunshine, my only sunshine.
This is one of the days that the entire staff of the World War II Museum looks forward to. We all love Mr. Brooks. He represents so much. He represents a generation that helped save the world. He's just a wonderful person. If you ask Mr. Brooks, how did he live so long? He's going to tell you, be nice to people. He's just such a wonderful man and means so much to his community, to his church, to the National World War II Museum. But as the oldest veteran in the United States, he means a lot to this nation.
A 13-year-old boy is being credited with saving his 4 sisters from a house fire in Wisconsin. Jennifer Meyerly has that story.
The Omars search through what's left of their home days after a fire tore through it with their 5 kids inside.
Anything I can salvage, whether it's a baby hat from the hospital or a picture.
Kelly and Jay ran out to grab dinner for the family. They had been gone about 10 minutes when the kids smelled smoke.
And my sister just said it was really smoky, and we looked behind us and the playpen was on fire.
The kids, ranging in age from 6 months to 13 years old, were on the first floor. Breyer, the oldest, acted quickly.
My sisters, that was the first thing I thought of. And I just knew I needed to get them out of the house.
The family had talked about what to do in an emergency. He got his sisters to safety and thought he could save the house too, using a fire extinguisher.
And it went up in bigger flames, and I just couldn't breathe, I couldn't see, and then I almost collapsed, and then that's when I felt my dog rub against me, and I grabbed her and she led me out the doors.
Mandy, the dog, and Breyer got out in time for their parents to pull up to the home.
Until you physically saw every single child, it was terrifying.
They credit Breyer with saving their family. Devastated by what was lost, but so very fortunate for what they still have.
And we're just so thankful that every single one of them made it out. So if it wasn't for my son, I don't know where I'd be.
Burger King has debuted new items on its menu. The chain says it is getting rid of 120 artificial ingredients to serve what it is calling Keep It Real meals. Burger King says the change is permanent and is an effort to deliver, quote, real food to customers. The company says about 90% of the Keep It Real meals will be free of colors, flavors, and preservatives from artificial sources. Some celebrities are collaborating with Burger King to get the word out with special selections. That includes rapper Nelly, whose real name will be used for the Cornell Hayes Jr. meal. Southwest Airlines isn't planning to resume serving alcohol on flights until at least January. A company memo says the timetable is linked to the extension of the federal mask mandate for planes and airports to January 18th. Southwest was the first major airline in the U.S. to stop in-flight service at the start of the coronavirus pandemic. The goal? To reduce passenger flight attendant interactions. American Airlines also decided last month not to resume alcohol sales on flights until at least January. What do you think of when you hear the word vending machine? Soda, candy, snacks? Well, Lauren Maxwell shows us a vending machine at an elementary school in Alaska that features something much more interesting.
A vending machine that dispenses books is definitely cool. PTA President Heather Calcaterra knew she wanted one for her school the moment she read about them online.
It got to my heart, and I thought, what a great thing to promote literacy for the students, and maybe an excitement to want to get a book and that they can keep and take home.
The Vend Alaska machine is modified to make sure books fit, and only tokens are accepted, so no one has to pay.
I just saw a funny face on it, and I just decided, yeah, I want this book.
Children receive a token for a book on their birthday or half-birthday.
I can't wait to get a book.
And many have titles in mind.
I'm hoping for The Babysitter's Little Sister because it kind of looks like an interesting book.
In the near future, teachers will also hand out tokens to students to reward them for things like good behavior, academic achievement, or even being kind.
If they really, really wanted that extra trip to the book machine, they're going to find a way to get that token.
A new book could be an incentive, but it could also simply be a gift.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. A tiny puppy is walking tall after veterinary experts helped correct a rare condition. Doctors at the Oklahoma State University College of Veterinary Medicine came into possession of Siggy, a small rat terrier that, for reasons unknown, was born with the rare condition of front paws facing upward instead of downward. Well, the team used radiographic studies and surgery to reorient and stabilize little Siggy's front legs. Siggy has since begun the road to rehabilitation on her newly positioned puppy paws. And doctors say they couldn't be more pleased with her progress. So glad to hear that. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you have a great evening.